Please welcome William Hall.
Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to DENSO International America's PLM Experiences with Aras. My name is William Hall. I'm a project engineer at DIAM, and today we're going to take a look at our history with Aras and how we've applied the Innovator tool to improve and enhance several of our legacy processes. A brief overview of what we're going to go over today. First of all, who is DENSO? Then a short explanation of our engineering support transformation initiative. And then we'll look at the projects involving Aras Innovator, which include Tech Report, the CAD Data Share Tool, and then the RFQ Sourcing Management Project. So, with that out of the way, who is DENSO? DENSO is a global manufacturer for automotive components that offers advanced automotive technologies, systems, and products to our customers around the globe. DENSO employs over 170,000 employees worldwide who together work across DENSO's 6 core businesses of thermal, powertrain, electrification, mobility, sensors and semiconductors, and other non-automotive business to bring in a consolidated revenue of over 48 billion US each year. Aiming to be a company that can meet the needs of its various customers around the globe and earn their trust, DENSO has expanded its business with over 200 consolidated subsidiaries in 35 countries and regions across the world. So now let's take a look at our engineering support transformation. Quality is at our core at DENSO, and it resonates in our engineering support group. Over time, we've gone through a fundamental shift to ensure the engineering support groups continue to provide to our engineering users with modern tools to produce quality parts and to have a positive user experience. We've grown from a support group that deployed headquarters, in-house systems, to now having a leadership role in developing solutions in North America and allowing those users, while building a stronger relationship in Japan or with Japan, to drive requirements for global systems as opposed to just centralized. So now I'd like to introduce the projects that we're working with Aras to enhance our legacy systems. So today we'll look at and discuss the projects we've launched so far, which include Tech Report, CAD Data Share, and our latest project, the RFQ Sourcing Management Tool. So starting with Tech Report. What is a Tech Report in DENSO, or in regards to DENSO? Well, every organization has experts with valuable knowledge, and so what a Tech Report is for us is a report that lets us document a summary in the form of a report that's a source of this information for all levels within DENSO. They can be product tests, they can be vehicle checks, benchmarking, conference information, basically any type of written knowledge we want to share. So in the event that the person is no longer available to support, or if an individual leaves the organization, that knowledge doesn't leave with them. Instead, it's available where it is. So we can also use these as a collaboration tool, being able to knowledge share amongst the group if we're unable to meet locally, especially in a time where many of us are working from home. So I first want to take you back and take a look at our old legacy system. This process for creating a report was in regards to a workflow where everything was done manually, a manual process to create this knowledge information into a Word document. We had to manually upload it to a shared folder or a local database. We would then have a manual approval system, basically an email handoff to say, hey, check this out. Let me know if there's anything wrong with this. And there's a back and forth with that. And then transmission. The only way of knowing one of these reports came out would be through email as well. So in order to improve this process, we wanted to take a look at several objectives for this project. We wanted to simplify the process so that users would be able to create, submit, and manage the technical reports a lot easier. It also encouraged more users to utilize the system and the process. We wanted to increase the security for the data we're storing, basically allowing permissions on the data and making sure it was not editable once it had been approved and signed up. We wanted to be able to relate information to other information. So if we had one report that linked to several others, we wouldn't have to make references to those directly. We could create associative links so that they're there at just the click of a mouse. We also, as mentioned, wanted to minimize any manual entry, try to automate as much as we could to save time and save cost. We also wanted to reduce administrative overhead through an automated process for signing off, as well as making everything much more accessible and being able to transfer that data globally much easier. So, utilizing Aras Innovator, we were able to do just that. We were able to create a custom report within Aras Innovator. All the steps to create the report can all be done in end-to-end in one system. There's no more manual entry for cover pages, which was a large time sink before. In addition, there was many auto-populated pieces of information that will be used and based off of the administration structure. So for your manager and department, that's all populated based on the user who's filling it out. We also improved the user experience by making searchability for these tech reports much easier, being able to attach documentation or other supplemental material, allow collaboration by having multiple authors if need be, as well as making distribution, sharing the information a lot easier through the Aras tool as well. And finally, of course, the streamlined workflow using the Aras Innovator workflow process, being able to assign tasks for sign-off and being able to send notifications when sign-offs have been completed, or allowing that back and forth collaboration to happen within the tool dramatically increased our savings as well for time and investment. So to go back to that old process, we can now look at a comparative new process where a document is now created in Aras. The associate will go in, and whatever is not automatically populated, they'll fill in their information. Once they're complete, there's an improvement workflow they'll go through, and it'll push that to their manager. And once it has been approved, there's an automatic transmission. So there's no need to send out an email across the company guessing who needs to know this information. So in summary, we developed a system. It took us 4 months to be able to develop this with the help of Aras. It would have taken us probably 1 to 2 years internally if we didn't have the support from the Aras team. We had 100% user adoption within 2 weeks of launch. And by working closely with Aras, we learned a lot of practical experience on both Aras, the Innovator configuration, as well as Agile methodology, which is a process we've been adapting more and more into our everyday life. From the user side, we were able to improve the system, creating and consuming tech reports, and building trust with our users for future projects. So, and of course, quality, moving from a single system or moving multiple groups into a single system, and allowing automation to simplify and eliminate a lot of manual issues. All right. Next, I'd like to go into the CAD data share tool. So how are we sharing CAD data? With the success of the Tech Report project, we want to take on something a little bit bigger, a little tougher. So one issue we had was sharing CAD data between our engineering department and other groups within our company that consumed that data. Whether it was 2D drawing or 3D CAD or lightweight CAD files, native or otherwise, we needed a way to share that information. So what we decided to do was link our existing CAD PLM system with Aras PLM, and based on a status in our existing system, be able to push data automatically out of that and into Aras. Once it was in Aras, we'd be able to then share it with our plant users, with quality groups, sales, any group that needed that CAD data, and make it accessible and controlled within the Aras environment. Again, we used an agile methodology and the tools that we gained from our Tech Report project as we set out to develop this with the Aras team. And I'm proud to say that we deployed this to production and solved a long-running data sharing issue regarding the CAD data share. And at the same time, we broke down silos among those groups where either replication or manual process was taking its place in sharing this information back and forth. So a little look at what a comparison between the two processes look like. So before, a designer, we'll say, would make some CAD design, either 2D drawing or 3D model, and would need to share that. And so they would share it usually through an FTP site. So they'd send it to a plant over a Dropbox of some sort. And then they would have to pull that down manually. And once it was there, the only way to communicate back any change information or questions would be either in documenting it in some sort of Excel spreadsheet or through email, or a combination of both, to send that back to the designer. Again, a very manual process. So, the new process instead allows us to automatically push these updates from the designer into Aras, and the plant has direct access to this information, and they can push and pull that data down from Aras Innovator. They also can collaborate with the designer by communicating within Aras directly. So it automates the process to share CAD. The plant can review it without having to send a bunch of manual emails or fill out a bunch of extra forms. And everyone's automatically notified in this process. So taking a look at the summary of this project. So for company impact, we gained a massive advantage with the Aras configuration experience, and how we can learn more from this tool, how we can, again, use the agile methodology and further enhance our own skills, so we can not only work in collaboration with Aras, but also be independent to take on configurations of our own. From a user's impact, so allowing some of the teams in the plant to see data early and even as it's being developed, as opposed to having to wait for that information to be uploaded and downloaded. There can be multiple changes to that design, or multiple iterations, releases, from the time it was uploaded and downloaded to when they actually get to look at it. Now, by pushing upon the release status, they're seeing data as it's released, so as it's current. So, we're also, again, building more and more trust with our group to be able to allow us to branch further and further and impact more users, improving process. And from a quality perspective, so collaboration by storing all of our information in one location, creating a connection between CAD and other data, as well as allowing for visual collaboration tools within Aras to share that information without having to import or export anything, and using the collaboration tools to share back and forth without email or a phone call. So, the last project I'd like to go over is the RFQ sourcing management tool. So here, our challenge was to look at how we can automate and manage our RFQ and sourcing process, as well as all the types of data associated with it. So you'll see from our scope, we had essentially 5 stages broken up into 3 groups. The RFQ phase, which primarily focused with business planning, production design, and purchasing groups, as well as involving production and engineering and sales. Then we had proto sourcing, again, a lot of production control and purchasing, but then we started to bring in design and more design groups and production engineering. And then finally we get to sourcing, where we're sourcing the part which incorporated feedback from all of the previous groups. So we wanted to come in and look at how we can bring all these groups together instead of having them siloed as they are today, and have them function as one unit. So we want to, again, a single centralized location for sourcing and relating this information across all the functional teams. We wanted to track this data, give it revision control, and be able to monitor changes as things updated. The RFQ sourcing process happens before the parts are, before the BOM is sometimes even complete or created. So needing this information and seeing updates as they come was extremely important. We also needed to track those changes and run cost impact and be able to easily report based off of those changes. So we also needed to track due dates, delivery dates, and other activities associating to the RFQ sourcing process. So here is a comparison between what our old process was and our new process now that we've implemented. So in our old process, you can see a lot of Excel symbols. We had a lot of manual steps and separate Excel documents that were created and passed along from one group to the next. So in addition to having this division of data, the process is also separated and isolated in each group. So you see manual process between engineering, a handoff to business planning, sales, another handoff as we go down. So also, our engineering data was being manually pushed to an existing PLM database, and a final review of the completed sourcing list BOM was done in person, with attendees from multiple geographic locations having to travel to attend that meeting. So what we worked towards in our new process was consolidating all of these different Excels into one standardized document, and implemented an automated import tool to bring that legacy information in to our new system. Within Aras Innovator, we're now incorporating all the aspects of this document and aligning it with the expectations and requirements for each of the different groups. Each group has access controlled restrictions, so they only see what they need to see or want to see, and the information being shared downstream is relevant and up to date based on everyone's changes. Everyone's looking at the same data being updated by each group individually. So, with all this information in one centralized location, now all the work groups interact directly, and they're using the collaboration tools within Innovator to communicate back and forth instead of having to send these Excel documents or send emails or make phone calls to be able to understand what's going on here. Between the visual collaboration tools, being able to create markups and screenshots directly within the tool and save them and associate them back to the project that they're working on is highly valuable to that collaborative effort. So, lastly, the engineering data in our existing PLM software, you mentioned the CAD data transfer, we're now taking all of that CAD data and associating it to the parts within the source list. So we're already reusing the effort from the initial project to further see value in that. A little bit deeper into our production at a high level. So we, as you I'm not going to read through this entire list, but from sourcing perspective, these are all the aspects we had to tackle as part of this process. So from sourcing side, BOM creation, and control, as well as administration control across several different groups. So this was by far one of our largest projects yet involving Aras Innovator. The results, however, speak for themselves. We were able to take a massive amount of time savings across several different tasks, processes, and groups, and have a massive additional value by utilizing the existing CAD data share tool from our earlier project. We also have been working very closely with the users to get valuable user testing and feedback to drive additional enhancements moving forward. Here's a short list of many of the enhancements we've gathered based on this feedback for continual improvement and continuing to drive additional features and functionalities to make sure that the product is everything that the user needs and wants to make sure that they have peak efficiency. So finally, I want to talk about the impact from the RFQ sourcing management tool. So again, from a company's perspective, visibility in the project business plan and KPIs, being able to meet those expectations and be able to standardize our process across North America. Something where we had several processes across several groups, each siloed and doing their own thing. We also had a business plan and targets to have better traceability, to be able to hold accountable what goals and tasks we're setting for each group. From a user's perspective, the process expanded to include nearly the entire enterprise across many different groups. It connected and incorporated earlier Aras systems, as mentioned, the CAD data share, and again, continued to build that trust with our users and champions for future engagement. And lastly, from a quality impact, all of that collaboration in one single system, connecting all of our data together and associating it to a business plan. And finally, visual collaboration, allowing that sharing of information across the groups and allowing users to communicate in a more effective and efficient way. All right, so to summarize, from our tech report, we were able to develop a new environment for users to create, submit, and better manage their technical reports. From CAD data share, we were able to share data from our existing PLM tool and allowed end users to get earlier visibility and allow collaborative feedback all within one location. And from RFQ sourcing management, we were able to consolidate numerous manual processes into a single standard process while bringing enhanced quality and collaboration. Also, just a note, we are actively continuing to work with Aras and with the Aras Innovator to continue to enhance at DENSO. We're looking at additional future projects as well. As you can see, we have several in the pipeline ahead of us. With that, I would like to turn it over. If there's any questions, I'd like to address those. But if not, I appreciate all of the time and thank you for attending. So there is one question. Let's see. All right, so first question. So based on the current project's successes and the launches, there are areas you plan to expand to over the next year, coming from Mark Saracino. Well, Mark, our currently planned next project we're looking at implementing is for Supplier Portal, where we're taking a lot of the foundation that we had for that we've used here with the CAD data share and with the RFQ source tool, and bringing in the working in collaboration with our purchasing groups to revamp and rebuild our supplier portal, both internally for our internal users to how they interact with suppliers, as well as creating a way for our suppliers to interact with us through a single location as opposed to various either legacy tools or FTP sites. from Adrian Turner. So she's asked, you mentioned that there are security settings in the RFQ project. Do the same security protocols apply for the data share users? The answer is yes. We do have security protocols across all of our projects based on who needs access and what their role is. So if you'd like to learn more about that, I'd be happy to talk to you more. From Sam Abu Hamdan, are the plants using the CAD to create tools? At this time, while we are sharing the CAD down through the CAD data share, they are using the CAD that is created to drive manufacturing process downstream. Yes. All right. If there are no other questions, again, I would like to thank you very much for attending today. From everyone at DENSO, we really appreciate you coming in and listening. And if you have any further questions at any point, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you again for your time.